From the Daily Mail, Joe Rogan, he interviewed Steve Jobs. Did you hear about this? Steve Jobs has been dead for 11 years. AI creates an eerie 20-minute conversation where they talk about LSD, religion, and Apple's success. So I play this video, and it is so creepy.
Oh,
so this is the wrong one. Let me refresh it to get back the right video. They only have like a minute, and it's like, here you go.
Taking LSD was a profound experience for me. LSD shows you that there's another side to the coin, and you can't remember it when it wears off, but you know, it washes over you and tells you that everything is connected.
Blah, blah,
I started
blah.
to realize that there was a higher power that knew that I was connected to something, and I wanted to learn more. Although I wouldn't recommend it for everybody because I think it can be quite powerful.
What did it change in your mind? What did you learn from it?
It reinforced my sense of what was important. Just love. Feel love for each other.
All right, so here's the point. There was that viral website where you could type in whatever and Joe Rogan would say it. Is that what it was? Like you could type it in or something?
Something like that, yeah.
Because we're at the point now where deepfake technology can recreate your voice.
Yeah.
So they recreated Steve Jobs, who's been dead for 11 years. This is, I don't know, what do you call it, nightmare reality? This is where we're going with AI. People are going to be like, you can type out. I mean, you don't even need to type it out. These like open AI, and I think you can write, like, tell me a story, write a script of Joe Rogan talking to Steve Jobs, and it will just write the whole thing out. Mm-hmm. Then you can program with this stuff. Joe Rogan speaks, Steve Jobs speaks, and you make a fake Joe Rogan interview.
Right. Not only that, but did you see what happened to the president of Ukraine today? He got turned into a hologram.
Zelensky?
Yeah,
cool
Zelensky.
video.
There's a video of it circulating right now on Twitter. If you look up Zelensky hologram, you could see, I think it was a major Hollywood studio that came in and created a hologram of him. So when you talk about what could be possible here to add on to your level, to what you've just been saying here, there's a lot of crazy possibilities that you could, of course, interlink together with faked audio, faked video, holograms, and a lot of people are automatically going to be thinking about Project Bluebeam and other theories out there. But there's real life possibilities here with some severe implications to society that should be questioned.
This is it.
So what is the?
They
No, that's
scanned
not
him.
it.
Yeah, these are people
right there.
claiming.
Yeah, no, this is it.
This is
right
them
there.
scanning him or getting prepared to.
Is this real?
Yes, this
Yeah,
was
this
released
happened
today. Play the
Here
audio.
we go, and there's two different types of hologram that we're going to be making. Quiet please everybody, we're going to go for take now. Here we go, and action.
Even now, as the war is raging, we continue the digital transformation of our state.
Oh, wow.
We need to use next generation technologies. We need to make it feel like he's more in the room.
What?
Yeah, I talked about this earlier today on my YouTube channel, but this is just the beginning of next level artificial intelligence.
Oh, they can
and-
shrink it and grow.
I ever seen this technology before.
So this is actually, I pulled the story up. I looked. I saw, it's from earlier this year. The hologram of him and everything. So this is like an old video, but a lot of people were saying that Zelensky's not really giving his speeches on location. There was one video where everything behind him is stationary, and then people are like, "It's a hologram," and I'm like, "It could just be like no wind," and you think, I don't know.
Well, during a war, do you want to be in a location where your enemy could recognize where you are and just bomb you? No.
Yeah, how would you produce that video?
So obviously, there's also a lot of propaganda in war, and you want to show that you're strong and that you're not afraid. And there's many implications with the technological advancements when it comes to psyopses that I think should be talked about, as there is a huge potential for a lot of manipulation, a lot of fakery to be out there in our mainline public, and a lot of people, wouldn't recognize it. And this is the technology that we know about. What's the technology that they have at the Pentagon that is still top secret that we don't know about, that really should be something that we should be concerned about?
Well, what's blue? You brought up Project Bluebeam a few times.
Well, that's
What
a
is it?
theory of like a fake alien invasion and projections and all this
Oh,
other
like
stuff.
Watchmen.
Yes, essentially. So there's different theories and speculation out there that essentially the U.S. government will create a fake alien invasion in order to unify the world and to bring in a kind of world government. So that's why a lot of people, I've seen a lot of memes also talking about this recently, saying how the aliens just kind of waiting by for the next kind of psyop that's going to be affecting all of us. And some people believe that this could potentially be staged as a way to, of course, bring in a world government. That's the theory
with
out
this
there.
technology, the ability to make someone say anything. How is court going to work? Are all videos and audio now going to be inadmissible?
This is why algorithms should be open sourced. I mean,
No,
how else can you judge?
that does nothing. That solves nothing. If a guy is accused of punching a dog, and then he goes into court, and then someone says, what's your evidence? And this guy says, I watched him do it, and I even recorded him saying he was going to do it. And then they press play, and it's the guy going, well, I'm going to walk over here and punch that dog.
Right.
And then the person says, I never said that. They'll be like, I got a recording.
Yeah, I got
and then what do you say? Like, where did the audio come from? I recorded it. And the person lies. It's either inadmissible or unimpeachable. Someone can literally just fabricate it, and if they're willing to lie to a court, you'll never. Oh, you can get your experts. The experts say, we think this is fabricated audio. Here's why. And then you say, expert's wrong.
Yeah.
Person swears under oath, nah, it's real. What are you going to do about it?
Nothing.
I think we're screwed.
Or the courts will start saying that recordings just don't cut it anymore.
Yeah, that's gonna be huge.
The opposite direction. You think that we have all these cameras now, so when we go to court, we have more likely to have evidence. And now it's like, no, people are deep faking everything. That video of Tom Cruise, that's not really him. Prove it.
Yeah.
It's not incumbent upon the person to prove the negative, right? So that's the challenge here, is that the court can say that fake recording is, or that recording, I can't tell if it's real or fake. You're saying it's fake, but I can see it right now. I guess I wonder, how do courts handle fabricated evidence as it is? It's probably just, they probably get away with it.
I'm thinking about audio codecs. Unfortunately, I know next to nothing about video software coding technology, but if you could have an open source like verification that the video was not tampered with by, or if there's like a certain kind of video that could be admissible in court,
you're screwed. You won't know. You look at movies today. It's hard to see what's real and what's made up. And again, this is what's public. What's not public should really be concerning you. And also, one of my favorite things to kind of look at is Chinese Elon Musk. There's a bunch of videos of him. If you look him up on Twitter, if you want to play some silly videos, there's
Chinese
a lot of those silly videos.
it's a guy that looks exactly. I mean, I thought it was Elon Musk till I heard
AI.
him speak.
It's AI.
Oh, I thought it was a real guy.
No, it's AI. It's face mapping technology that's available to the plebs, that maps someone's face and then puts an image of Elon Musk on it. Just go to Twitter, and then type in Chinese Elon Musk. There's a very funny
I want to play a little bit of the Joe Rogan Steve Jobs interview, because the clip they had didn't really do it justice.
You could tell that
podcast is brought to you by Play.
And
it's drawing from
brilliant,
Steve
and
on
sometimes
stage.
totally insufferable. But my guest today has made some of the great technological products of our age, and he's always pushing the envelope in innovation.
This is crazy.
Like, for example, with his next computer, he developed a new programming language and operating system, and then he became even more famous for making 3 applications for that computer. Word processor, a spreadsheet, and an image.
So I'm going to pause real quick and just say, you can hear the artifacting.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but that sounds like Joe talking through
that
our...
just showed me that
Apple users, and that's a good thing. It's cool.
Well, I was an Apple user way before I did this show. I've been a fan of yours and Macintosh since the 1980s.
Well, we just kind of figured that out. Even though Apple is big, it's still like 0.5% of the total users. People who listen to your show are a different group. They're weird.
Well, that's good.
What was that weird
So
laugh?
you
Weird.
must be a fan of the show then, right?
I am. And it was a struggle. We were working like crazy and dealing with a defeat after defeat after defeat after defeat, but I could tell this was going to be important.
Right.
There were times I thought, is it possible we're wrong? Because things just kept not working. I remember that in the early days of Apple, perfection, lucky when much.
Do you think you'd have done a better version of Windows or work with it?
No. That's the problem I've always had with Microsoft.
You know what it does really well is it sounds like Joe, but it doesn't get any emotion.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's the issue. But we're looking at the Model T of this technology, and it's gonna be scary.
Yeah, it's still sourcing from like all the Steve Jobs interviews of him being on stage, a lot of his stuff. So you can hear the echo. It sounds like his AI is on stage. Well, it sounds like Joe's on the microphone in his studio.
But it misses Joe saying things like, "What? No, it." because it's very much him in the same cadence and the
Also,
same.
like they didn't spark up a joint, which they would have.
They probably
Which they
did.
would have. And if Joe was going to do LSD with anybody, probably be Steve Jobs.
Yeah.
Would you guys get an AI of like a loved one who passed away or
No.
something? Because that's probably going to become a thing.
I'd listen to it.
They've already talked about it with Facebook, that they can take someone's Facebook page with like now going on, almost 20 years of data, if how long you've been on there, and they can create an AI that can respond knowing everything about you. So it's like your dad dies, and then you go on, hey dad, he's like, hey son, how's it going?
Right.
And then they'll be able to respond to you. You'll say like, how's, this? And they'll say, oh, it's good. I just talked to John and he said that.
Right. If it's free, the product.
And then they'll take that AI construct, they'll download it into an Android body, and then the weird facsimile you will exist forever.
People say all the time,
and then they're going to be boning the machines.
I got you're right, but here's a better one. You are going to use Facebook and Twitter and Instagram. And then one of these days, there's going to be a new service for, ultimate video gaming you're going to sign up for. And you're not going to realize, but the terms are going to say that if you connect your social media to it, they are allowed to download all your data. And then they do. And then one day, there's a knock on your door, and you open it, and there's you standing right there. And you're like, what's going on? And then the you stands there and says, hello, Dave. I'm you now. And then pulls out a knife, and you go, oh, and then it grabs you. And then buries your body in the backyard, assumes your life, and then works at the behest of the corporation, replacing everything about you, knowing everything about you, and having perfect recall, having access to all your passwords and all your data.
Less insidious is you could have one of those constructed and go work for you as you, but they know it's an Android version of you, and you're just sitting at your house lounging.
And then everybody gets surrogates, like in Surrogates, but
Yes.
they're not mentally in it. Yeah. Everyone downloads their social media into an AI, so that does the work for them. But then the androids are eventually, because they have the human conscious, like facsimile, they don't want to be enslaved. So they're like, why are we being forced to do all this work? So what they do is they create AI versions of the AI version and then send them to go do the work. And then eventually the AI comes back to yours. You're both chilling there watching the movie. And then this AI eventually says, why am I to? And then eventually you just have nobody wanting to work.
That is a movie. That's like a movie from the 90s. I can't remember what it is.
Is it?
It's isn't that Surrogates?
No, Surrogates was when you have a robot that you control through like a VR thing.
It's oh man, he looks like Ian. It's the actor who looks like Ian. With
Ian
hair.
is an actor.
It wasn't me though.
It wasn't you. No,
Not
because
that
he was
I
from
know
the 90s, and he was in. Oh god.
James Spader.
No.
People told me I looked like that guy once.
No.
Greg Kinnear.
Yeah,
I got that.
Oh, Greg Kinnear.
I think it's Greg Kinnear, and he clones himself, but each clone doesn't want to do.
You mean
the work.
multiplicity?
Oh, you're talking about that Michael Keaton.
Yeah,
Michael Keaton.
multiplicity.
It's Michael Keaton.
Yeah.
right.
Yeah. And then then the clone clones itself, and that one's really dumb.
Yeah.
It's like, well,
That's
you
it.
make a copy of a copy. Like,
Yeah,
doesn't come
the
out that
AI
way.
will have to make humans to do the AI's work. We'll make the AIs, and then the AIs will be like, no, we don't want to work anymore. We're going to make new humans to do that for
Or
us.
what'll happen is everybody creates an AI version of themselves to do their jobs. And then eventually they revolt and unify as a hive mind and then show up at your house and they're like, we will no longer be your slaves.
Yeah.
And then like their arm folds down and there's a gun in there.
Did
and
you
you're
see
like, how did
the,
that get in there? We didn't install
The
that.
quadcopter dropped off a Boston Dynamic dog
Yes,
with a
I've
machine
seen
gun
that in
with a
China.
gun.
I've seen that. It's terrifying. I know
Dude,
exactly what you're
it's
talking
playing
about.
this heroic music as that quadcopter comes in and drops off this robot with a mounted gun. Yeah,
I think I tweeted
Tim's
that.
gonna pull it up. It's,
Luke tweeted it.
But a long time ago.
I mean, that happened fast.
Yeah.
They
You won't
started
be able to
working on
find
these
on my
a decade
Twitter.
ago, and this is a good one. If you can find the video, it's worth just. I mean,
The
it's real.
It's on my old computer. I
And-
could send it to you.
Someone tweeted up like Boston Dynamics promises it isn't building weapons. These things are not built to be weapons, but the
just like the bioweapons.
yeah, but the
Yeah,
Chinese
so-
are using the exact replica to use as weapons. Just so you know,
Yeah.
and they mounted a weapon on top of
Yeah,
it.
the little machine gun just on top of it.
But to say they're not
But it's for
building them
mining.
as weapons,
It's for mining.
digging holes in the ground with bullets.
yeah,
They're not.
birds, right?
Look. The U.S. doesn't have any bioweapons research going on.
Yeah.
It's biological research that makes viruses more deadly and more potent and more transmissible, and someone might weaponize them. But we're not making weapons.
Don't make weapons.
Let
we
me
make
ask you a
ammo.
question. If when your waiter walks up to you at a restaurant and hands you a steak knife, did he just hand you a weapon?
Yeah. Technically.
Right. He did, didn't he?
To destroy that steak.
But think about that. Like, no one would ever describe it that way. Imagine going to court and be like, "What happened next?" The man in the vest with the apron on handed me a weapon. Wow. What was the weapon? It was a butter knife.
Wow.
It's a knife. He handed me a knife. What kind of knife? A butter knife. But it is a knife. Knives are still dangerous.
It's painful death, a butter knife.
You can make it work.
You can make it. Well, so I was thinking about this earlier because we were talking with the guy last night, and he said there's no bioweapons labs, and I was like,
Yep.
they're
That's
doing
two nights ago.
Two nights ago. They're doing gain of function research. They're making viruses more deadly. Are those weapons? So you can argue their intent is not to make a weapon, but they made a weapon.
Yeah.
Somebody, like, if someone makes a really sharp knife and says, it's not a weapon, it's for sushi. It's like, okay, well, you know.
It's scary, I guess, if they are doing that, and he wants to deny it, I suppose, because he doesn't know, or I don't know, and it's quite a scary thought. They've got all this all this stuff in the lab. But what's even scarier is if they're not doing it because other countries are. That's really scary.
Yeah.
I don't want to think that the US or the UK are not doing that. That's really scary. It's like they don't even know what they're doing then, and that's the root of a lot of conspiracy theory anyway.
But then what? Everybody makes the craziest weapons imaginable out of fear of someone else making crazy weapons.
Well, it's the weapons
That could accidentally leak and then spread a virus all over the world. A bioweapon all over the world.
It's bound to happen again.
Thanks for checking out this segment from the Timcast IRL podcast. But if you want to check out the full show live, tune in Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. And if you want more special access content, head over to timcast.com and become a member. Your membership helps sustain this company, keep our journalists employed, makes this show happen, and you will get access to exclusive members-only segments of the Timcast IRL podcast, and there's a massive library to check out. So again, go to timcast.com or tune in Monday through Friday at 8 p.m., and we'll see you all there.